Hey everyone, Meet Kevin here. The stimulus plan is extremely confusing. And in this video, I hope to clear the air by answering a lot of the frequently asked questions that I've been getting about all of the following: the stimulus checks, unemployment insurance, the PPP, the EIDL, and the $10,000 grants. All of this is what I'm going to be going through in order in this video. So if you're not interested in the stimulus check, then just skip forward to the sections you're interested in. Let's get started though right away, because I'm gonna try to answer every question that I've gotten in email, on Instagram, in comments, in my courses, in my private live streams, everywhere. Let's just get right into it. First, the stimulus checks. If you filed your 2019 taxes and you put direct deposit information on your 2019 taxes, when should you expect to get your check? You should expect to get your check between April 15th and April 21st by direct deposit. If you did not put your direct deposit information on your 2019 tax return, you should be receiving a check to the address that was on your tax return, but it's probably gonna take longer. It might take a few weeks longer. Some say it might take a few months longer. The only way that it appears you could potentially change your mailing address, maybe your bank account info, though I'm not sure if you can, but for your mailing address, if you need to change that, call the IRS. The number for the IRS is 1-800-829-1040. 1-800-829-1040. Expect to be on the phone a long time, and I recommend you call early in the day. If you're like me and you're relying on your 2018 taxes, that might be okay. You'll probably get processed in the second batch after 2019, but you should still be okay. The fastest way to get your check, though, is to file your 2019 tax return. If you need a couple options for doing that, here are some options. Number one, you can go to this redirect link, metkevin.com/file. Will get you to this Intuit TurboTax page where you can not only use a calculator to determine how much money you should be expecting to get, but then you can file and register with TurboTax. If you want another option and a little bit more of a walkthrough, go to metkevin.com/faster. And that is going to get you to this YouTube video. Make sure you hit the little like button, make that blue, and then you'll actually see me walk you through how you could file online with H&R Block for free or pay a small fee depending on how much income you made. If you want to file your 2019 taxes, but you don't yet have a bank account and you don't want to go to branch to open a bank account, go to metkevin.com/M1. There you'll be able to open a free online checking account, and you can even order a debit card. I just got my M1 Finance debit card. So this means within minutes you could have a bank account number and routing number for your stimulus check. If you make more money in 2020, do you have to pay that stimulus money back? The answer is probably. I would say there's a 90% chance you're going to have to pay that money back, because the stimulus check is called an advance of a tax credit against your 2020 taxes. It means that credit will probably disappear if you don't qualify in 2020, which basically means you'll owe a little bit more money in taxes. So if you qualified for 2018 or you qualified for 2019 and you get the check, but then you made a lot more money in 2020 and you don't qualify anymore, expect that you kind of basically got an interest-free loan for a year, and you'll probably have to pay that back next April. Now, what if the reverse is true? If, let's say, you made more money in 2018 and 19, but your income is down for 2020, then you'll probably not get the check because you didn't qualify in 18-19, but when you go to file your 2020 taxes, you'll get the stimulus credit then against the taxes that you owe, which means you won't see that money until April or a little bit later of 2021. The same is true for children. If in 2020 you had 5 kids, you're going to get a lot more of a credit than if in 2019 you only had 1 child. And if you're able to have 4 children in 1 year, then that's kind of cool or kind of a problem. Another question I've been getting is the stimulus check taxed? The answer is no. It's a tax credit, which means it offsets taxes that you owe in the future and kind of gives them to you now. It's not taxed. It's a credit against your taxes. So no, short answer, not taxed. What if you're a DACA recipient and you did not file taxes? Will you get the stimulus check? No, you have to file taxes. That is, if you're a DACA recipient and you file taxes, or you're a college student and you file taxes and you qualify using that calculator, which again, you could see the calculator at metkevin.com/file. It's just a redirect link. If you qualify and you file taxes, you should receive the stimulus check. If you didn't file taxes or you were claimed as a dependent by somebody else, like a lot of college students unfortunately are, you will not get the stimulus check. So just to be clear, if somebody else, like a parent or guardian, claimed you as a dependent, they're going to get a tax break for having done that, and they might even get a little bit of an extra stimulus credit, that $500 per child, but you're not going to get your own stimulus check if you were claimed by somebody else. If you're on Social Security and you do not file taxes, you should be getting your stimulus check automatically. The IRS should be able to determine either your address or your banking information based on where you receive your Social Security pay. If you did not file for 2018 and 19, you should file, because otherwise, you're probably not going to see that stimulus check until you file your 2020 taxes. Another question, is there going to be more stimulus? The answer is probably. Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump have already been talking about that a lot. Now let's talk about unemployment, then the PPP, and then the EIDL program. For unemployment, if you're not yet familiar with what was approved, type into your browser metkevin.com/12ways. This is going to show you a YouTube video that breaks down the 12 ways you can get money from the stimulus plan. Obviously, in this video, we're only covering 4. So if you want to know all 12, metkevin.com/12ways. It's just a redirect to a YouTube video. In the comments of that video, a lot of folks have been asking, Kevin, I want my $600, but I'm an independent contractor. How do I get my $600? When I go to apply with my state's unemployment office for unemployment insurance, it says that self-employed people don't qualify. Heads up, apply anyway. And for your boss, write in your own information. Why? Because the federal law now says that independent contractors, self-employed people, sole proprietors qualify potentially for unemployment insurance as long as your income has either in full or partially been affected by the outbreak. So if your income has been affected, you should apply. Even if it doesn't look like their form matches you yet, get in line. That is, even if the form says self-employed people don't qualify, apply, because the bill has now changed that, except a lot of unemployment websites have not updated this information yet. So get in line and apply. What if you've already filed for unemployment? How do you get the extra $600 from the federal government? You don't have to do anything. If you've already filed unemployment or you're receiving unemployment, you should be getting the $600 on top of your state benefit automatically. If you have not yet filed, then file. If you're in doubt, file. And again, your state benefit stacks on top of the 13 weeks of federally granted $600 of unemployment per week. That's $2,400 per month in federal unemployment on top of whatever your state pays. State benefits have been extended to 39 weeks, and you do not have to look for work. The $600 per week lasts for 13 weeks, and it's possible that you can have that retroactively applied back to the end of January, which means you'd actually be receiving, say, approximately $2,400 for February and money for March if you apply now and you look backwards up to the end of January. I believe it's January 31st or 30th. It's one of those dates that it applies back to. Potentially. No guarantees that your state is going to do that, but there has been mention of that. Now, B from my real estate investing course asks, should you lay yourself off from your own company to collect unemployment? Work has slowed down. The answer here is, if you're partially unemployed, I recommend you apply, because even if your income has partially gone down, you might qualify for unemployment. Again, when in doubt, apply. Another question, will unemployment affect me in the future for qualifying for a home loan? This is another question from my real estate group. The answer to this should be no. In order to qualify for a home loan, you just need a job. So if you go back to work in the future, you should be able to qualify for a loan. And the hope, at least this is what we're hearing now, is that most lenders aren't going to penalize you for being out of work during this period. Because usually if you're out of work for more than 6 months, you reset your 2 years of work history requirement, which sucks. However, that requirement might get waived. If you're in doubt though, check with your lender, but collecting unemployment should not affect you, especially since you're not gonna be qualifying for a loan probably until you go back to work anyway. Now, if you or a family member is nervous about this outbreak and you want life insurance, or at least you wanna get a quote for life insurance to see how much it would cost you, go to metkevin.com/ladder, LADDER, metkevin.com/ladder. This is a great, easy way to apply for life insurance. It's what I have, it's what Lauren has. Quick note on forbearance. If you're thinking about requesting mortgage forbearance, it's very, very, very critical that you watch the video that I have on YouTube. Go to metkevin.com/skip-scam. And it's going to tell you the downsides and the traps and the dangers and the tricks lenders are trying to pull off on people with mortgage forbearance. So don't get screwed, don't get scammed. Go to metkevin.com/skip-scam. These links are just redirects, okay? It's really easy. I know it sounds like everything's Met Kevin because now you've Meet Kevin, right? See? But it's just an easy way for you to be able to keep track of these links and go to these websites. Which, by the way, if you want 2 completely free stocks, all you have to do is go to metkevin.com/Webull, deposit $100 in the Webull trading platform, and you will get yourself 2 free stocks. Now let's talk about the PPP. This is the Paycheck Protection Program. This is what you're going to watch. If you are self-employed, you're an S corporation, you're an LLC, you're otherwise in business on your own, and you've been in business with less than 500 employees, and you've been in business prior to February 15th, this is for you. These next 2 sections, if you have a side hustle, you're an independent contractor, you're an Uber driver, a realtor, a barber, yellow taxi driver, landlord, I don't care. Watch this. The only people who might have problems are, it says, live performance actors in the sex industry. You actually might not qualify for some of these things. But otherwise, this is for you. Even if you are a felon, like you pleaded guilty to a felony, you might qualify under the PPP and EIDL. They are not trying to screw people. They want people at work. So let's go into the PPP and the FAQs for this. So what is the PPP? Well, the PPP is a way for you to get a forgivable loan up to $10 million. Forgivable is different from free. Free means, hey, here's $100,000, see you later. Forgivable means, here's a $100,000 loan that's due back in 2 years. There's only a 1% interest rate on it, which is like half of what inflation is. So it's a dirt cheap loan, but it is a loan. So you are applying for and signing up for a business loan to pay for expenses to keep your business operating. That loan will be forgivable if you follow the terms of forgiveness within your loan. If you're confused by that, when you apply for the loan, ask them to very clearly show you the part of your loan agreement that says this loan is forgivable if. That's typically going to look something like this. Let's say you take out a loan for $100,000 and you want it to be forgiven. Well, in order for it to be forgiven, based on the current Treasury guidance, you must spend 75% of that $100,000 on qualified payroll costs. And the other 25%, or $25,000 on a $100,000 loan, can be spent for other expenses. I'll also break down what those are. Let's right now break down what payroll costs are and how to potentially figure this out. The law says that payroll costs include salaries, wages, commissions, or other compensation, including cash tips or other equivalents. This implies that if you're an independent contractor, you're a realtor, and you typically got paid $5,000 a month or $6,000 a year by maybe looking back at your last 6 months of earnings or your last tax returns, and now your income's down to $1,000 per month, you technically, I believe, have a qualified loss of $4,000 here per month. And so you would be applying for this PPP to reimburse you that $4,000 in payroll costs. Again, maybe you have less customers as a barber or an Uber driver or as a realtor or whatever. Obviously, I'm not a lender. I used to be a lender. I'm not a lender anymore. So contact a qualified lender and ask them specifically about your situation. Say, look, my income the last 12 months was $5,000 a month. Now it's $1,000 per month. That means my payroll costs, my income is down $4,000. Can I qualify for this loan? The answer is probably yes, because the Treasury Department is saying that this is also for independent contractors and people without employees. So that's good. But what else is payroll cost? Other payroll costs include vacation pay, parental family pay, medical pay, sick leave, unless you take a family first credit. If you take a family first credit, you can't use this money to sort of double dip with the family first credit. Group healthcare benefits and premiums are included in this. So if you're self-employed and you pay your own self-employed insurance, those premiums do fall under payroll costs. Retirement benefits like employer matches, if you have an S corporation and you match your contributions to your 401k like a simple IRA or a SEP, that is considered a payroll cost. State and local taxes. This would be like self-employment taxes at the state level or local level. However, federal employment taxes are excluded from this calculation, which means you can't really take your gross pay. You have to kind of dig out the federal taxes from that. Obviously, talk to your lender about this to try to make this a little bit easier. I'll show you how to apply and how to find a lender in just a moment. Other things that are in payroll costs are things like dismissal and separation allowance. I don't really know what that means, but if you know what that means, then it's included. Now, this one's very important, and I believe this is separate from things like the insurance and vacation pay and sick pay. If your base pay or your income, right, those wages, salaries, tips, commission, or other income, if that works out to more than $8,333 per month, even though it may have been higher, if right now it's still higher than $8,333 per month, or otherwise more than $100,000 on a yearly basis, you can't get the difference. They're not gonna pay you money with a forgivable loan so you can pay yourself your $200,000 you're used to making, even though now you're making $100,000. Sorry, this isn't for you. Now, this is divided out on a per employee basis. So for example, if you and your wife are in business together and you have a corporation and you each get paid $50,000, or that's your income, you're each getting $50,000, and each of your income has now gone down to, let's say, $36,000, which is about $3,000 per month, you can apply to get that extra bit of monthly income to bring you back to par of each of you making $50,000 a year, which is a little more than $4,000 per month. So it's that difference, that loss that you're trying to prove. Now, let's say you make $150,000 and your wife makes $50,000. Your income's gone down to 100, hers has gone down to 0. Well, you're not getting anything covered with the PPP, but she might be able to get her income boosted from 0 to 50. And vice versa. I'm just using an example here. I'm not trying to do like guys versus girls, okay? Here, another example, okay? A woman-owned business has 5 employees, and each employee makes $70,000, and she pays herself $300,000. Her income's gone from 300 to 100, and all of her employees have had their income go from 100 to $50,000. She's going to get no benefit from the PPP, but all of her employees who were making 100 and are now making 50 can benefit from this, because you as the owner can apply for the PPP to make up that extra money in wages for your employees. That's the purpose of the PPP, is to bring people back to par, but not more than the ceiling of $100,000 per employee for actual pay. Now, this coverage period is also only for an 8-week period. So it's not like they're paying you for the entire year. It's only for an 8-week period. And if you've already laid off your employees, like in that last example, let's say that employer, the woman, laid off her 5 employees, she has until June 30th to rehire those employees, and then would essentially have 8 weeks of pay for them through the PPP to bring them back to par. Once this is all said and done and you're ready to ask for forgiveness, the lender has 60 days to approve or to inspect or to audit your files or records or whatever and give you an answer on forgiveness. So you really want to follow and document everything you're spending on perfectly, so that when you ask for forgiveness, it's not automatic. Know that they're going to ask you for documentation. A lot of the initial process is based on a self-certification, which means you're certifying that yes, incomes have gone down, money has been lost, we're affected, we need money, please help. But make sure you document all of this because you're going to have to prove it to be able to get forgiveness in the future. A question that comes up with this is collateral required. Any real estate collateral or business assets or other personal guarantees? The answer is no. No collateral is required. However, if you take this loan and you fraudulently spend it, the Treasury Department or the IRS will either sue you or file criminal charges against you. So just don't try to screw the government. And follow the rules and you'll probably be able to get this forgiven. They're not trying to rip people off here. And I don't think they're trying to make 1% interest and rip people off. But they're setting it up this way so that they can verify that you're actually spending the money you're supposed to be spending money on. Again, follow the loan terms in the loan that you're actually planning on agreeing to. Now, what about this other 25%? What can you spend that other 25% on? This other 25% applies to things like mortgages or lease agreements for your business property that were in place prior to February 15th. They had to have been established prior to February 15th. It also covers things like utilities for your business. However, it may not cover things like interest on debt that you had before this outbreak. Now, just to clarify on that, you might be able to use the loan to help you pay for some of your obligations and interest, but that interest from prior to this outbreak might not be forgivable. So again, a little bit of fine print reading that you're gonna have to do there, and my goal is really just to kind of point some of these things out to you so you know the questions to ask. Another question that comes up is, do you have to make any payments on this loan? And the answer is no. The loan goes into immediate deferral for the first year. Principal, interest, everything gets deferred for the first year. So those are the categories there for approved forgiveness items. Now, I just want to clarify this again. Confirm this with your lender, and here are some questions that continue to come up. If you're a real estate agent, real estate photographer, an Uber driver, can you get the PPP? Yes. But if you don't have employees, the amount of a forgivable loan you're going to get is going to be very small. So let's say, for example, you don't have any business utilities, you don't have any business rent, you don't pay yourself any kind of business insurance. The only thing you're really applying for this loan for is to help you bring your pay back to par. But you're gonna have to be able to prove that you were actually receiving this money. For example, a question came up where somebody said, and this was in my real estate investing course, somebody said, hey, I've been a grocery deliverer for 3 years. And I've been making good pay doing that. But in January, I became a real estate agent. And maybe I haven't had income as a real estate agent yet because I just became a real estate agent. This is blurry because you left your job prior to this whole outbreak happening. So your income voluntarily went to zero. And if you haven't made any money as an agent, that might be a problem. Just think, put like the IRS hat on for a second or the SBA hat on for a second. Did your income go down because of the outbreak? And this should be very easy to look at by seeing, okay, well, what was your income over the past year? So let's say, well, my income over the past year was $5,000 per month. And then all of a sudden, every month I was making $5,000 per month. This is all 5K right here. And then all of a sudden, my income went down. And it went down to 1K because of the outbreak. Great. Here is your loss. That's what you're asking for this loan for, that extra kind of 4K here. If your income voluntarily went to zero and then the outbreak happened and you're still at zero, I'm not sure you could actually claim any kind of loss or benefit from the PPP. Here's another question that came up. She asked me, what if I have a salon and I 1099 my employees? Are those employees for the purposes of the PPP? The answer is no. If you 1099 everybody working for your business, they do not count in your employee total. They are each their own independent contractors and they themselves can apply for their own PPP. You can apply for the PPP for yourself and the rent on the facility and, the maintenance and the upkeep on the building and the chairs or whatever. But they have to apply for their own PPP to cover their own pay as independent contractors. Here's another one. I'm an S corporation with 1 employee, myself, but I have 10 independent contractors who live abroad. Same thing. First of all, you can't get any pay for any kind of employee who lives abroad, whether they're 1099 or they're actually W-2. If they live abroad, you don't qualify them. They don't count, unfortunately. And since in this case you're an S corporation with one employee, again, you're just applying for yourself. Now here's a good one that came up. What if I have an S corporation and I have multiple other businesses, multiple different LLCs? Can I qualify for the PPP multiple times? The answer to this, I believe, is it depends. You could apply for the PPP for each business as long as each business has its own employees or otherwise qualifying costs. Like, let's say you pay yourself a $25,000 salary at business 1, 2, 3, and 4. And each of those has employees and other costs of $75,000 or $100,000 or whatever. You can apply for the PPP for each of those companies. And yeah, you should be able to have forgivable pay at each of these companies. Now, my guess is you can't pay yourself a payroll at each company of $100,000 and say your payroll went down and then get reimbursed to $100K. My guess is every single individual taxpayer identification number, your social security number, will be limited to a max benefit of getting your pay bumped back up to $100K max. So you pay yourself $100K at company 1, 2, 3, 4, and your income went down to $50K at each of them. They're probably not gonna help you out because they'll look at your taxpayer identification number, your social, and go, well, dude, come on, you're still making $200K. You're not really affected by this. Now, each individual business might be affected and might qualify. The income went down at this business. The employees over here aren't getting paid as much anymore and their income is under $100K. All right, let's give you a PPP here, one here, one here, one here. There you go. Obviously, again, confirm all of this with the lenders. Now, here's another one. What if you have an LLC with a W-2 employee, but you filed it on your personal tax return? I personally don't believe any of that crap matters. The government here, I don't think, is trying to screw with your entities. They're not trying to suggest, well, you're an S corporation, you get preference, or you're an LLC, you get preference. Oh, you're just a sole proprietor, you don't get the same treatment. No, sole proprietors, S corporations, LLCs, you can all apply. And you can all apply starting April 3rd, but in practice for a lot of companies, it's like April 6th. And honestly, Chase's system has been down. The SBA system has been down. Wells Fargo says they're capped. So there are some issues with actually practically applying right now. But yeah, you're all lumped together in the same group. If you're an independent contractor or otherwise self-employed, you're kind of in a little separate group. You have to apply on April 10th. But the application process is the same. You don't have to use different links. You don't have to use different forms that I'm aware of. I believe everything is exactly the same, whether you have an entity or not. The only difference is the date you can apply. Now, yes, you have to have less than 500 employees, but there's no requirement that you actually have any employees other than yourself. Again, independent contractors, you can apply. And there are exclusions like the live sex performance actors and certain industries are excluded. Some of you have been asking, is this the same as the 7A loan that the SBA does? And it kind of is. There's a guaranteed Section 7A loan. The PPP expands that loan program. Now, how do you apply for this? In order to apply for the PPP, you need to find a lender. I created another redirect for this. Go to metkevin.com/PPP, and then you can put in your zip code and use the map to find a lender. If you want to see what form you have to fill out, go to metkevin.com/PPP form. PPP form, one little section there, and you'll be able to see the Treasury uploaded form that you'll have to fill out for the PPP. So that might help you answer some questions. Remember, a lot of the initial process is you self-certifying that you have been injured, that you have some sort of economic harm because of what happened. But expect, in order for this loan to be forgiven and probably even granted up front, you're going to have to provide payroll evidence, which is usually going to mean, hey, look, here are all my canceled checks as a realtor or a barber for the last year. Hey, here's an export of my QuickBooks profit and loss. Here are my tax returns the last few years. Just put your SBA lender hat on and pretend you are qualifying yourself and go, all right, how can I show that you actually made money last year and you're making less now? Well, look at my bank statements. I used to have all these pluses and now I only got minuses. Well, there you go. That works too. Again, they're not trying to rip people off. You just have to somehow be able to prove that your income's actually been affected. Again, if your income's gone up, don't apply. You know, if all of y'all watch this video and you all, which I would be grateful of, go down to the link below and join me in my real estate investing course and my property management course and use that coupon code down below. if everybody who watches this video does that, my income will go up. I need not apply because y'all helping me out. Another question I had is, what if your business is not in good standing? When in doubt, apply. But the standing of your business, if you're a criminal or whatever, I don't believe any of that matters. They really want to help folks out. Now, let's talk about the EIDL. Right now, the current guidance is you're supposed to get $10,000 within 3 business days of applying for the EIDL as an advance of the EIDL loan. It's kind of that free $10,000 grant we've all been hearing about. The SBA has issued new guidance because of high demand, and they are saying you will only get $1,000 per employee that you have, up to a $10,000 advance. So this means, again, if you have multiple businesses and you're the only employee at each one, realistically, you'll probably only get $1,000 because it's tied to your social, I believe, not 100% sure. If you have one business and you have 5 actual W-2 employees, you should get a $5,000 advance. I would not lie on anything. All of this is based on trust and you self-certifying up front. But if the government finds out you're a fraud, they're gonna be pissed. Now, should you apply separately if you're a husband and wife? In theory, you could, or just apply and say you have 2 employees. Again, I believe every social security number, every individual human could get up to $1,000 as a grant max if you are an independent contractor or a small business or something. This obviously isn't for employees. You also had to have been in business prior to January 31st. So in the PPP, you had to be in business prior to Feb 15. With the EIDL, you had to be in business prior to Jan 31. Is there collateral required? No, same thing. No personal guarantee, no collateral. Can you apply for both? Yes, you can apply for the EIDL and you can apply for the PPP. If you get the $10,000 grant and you end up getting loan money from the EIDL program, you can't spend that money on the same thing that you spend the PPP money on. They have to be different sets of money. But yes, you can apply for both, and then later you could always decide if you just want to make your life easy, you only take one of them or however. Has anybody actually gotten their $10,000 yet? No. The SBA is, I believe, releasing the first sets of payment by April 11th, though no guarantees on that. Is the government going to screw us over? No, I don't believe the government is going to screw us over. I know it's easy to be jaded and hate on the government right now. Look, I get it. I've expressed my frustrations as well, but I do believe they are honestly trying to iron this out and make this as easy as possible for everybody. Although when the government does something, it usually doesn't go as efficiently as if a private company does something. That's just unfortunately the way it works. How do you apply for this? Another easy redirect. Go to metkevin.com/10K. 10K. metkevin.com/10K. That'll redirect you to the SBA website to apply for a relief. It's the COVID-19 relief website. Now, do I think they're going to increase the grant to the 10K that they promised? And do I think people are going to get their $10,000 within 3 days of applying? Unfortunately, not. I don't believe people are going to get money within 3 business days. I think everything's going to get human reviewed at the very least to start issuing checks or deposits. And I also believe that there will be more stimulus in the future and more guidance in the future. So I don't believe that this well is tapped dry, so to speak, once you get the first 1K or 1K per employee up to 10K. But if you have not yet applied, I'd recommend you apply, and let's just see what happens. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll keep you informed with updates. If you want to ask me questions, either join my Discord, which is linked down below. Do not email me. Can't respond to everyone. Go to the public Discord channel. I read those, and I have a special section for stimulus questions. Or you can respond to a Q&A that I do on my Instagram stories. But if you email me or you send me a direct message or whatever, I'm probably not gonna reply to you. Best place to ask questions is in that stimulus Discord chat linked down below. Look for Chat with Kevin Discord and we'll see you there. Thanks everybody for watching, and until next time.